What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 162 of Littleroot Lessons. As always, I'm your host, Carter Noble, joined by our fantastic co-host, Carl Wilkin. What's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. I'm excited for today's episode because it's always fun to do tier lists.
Oh, yeah, of course. As with every tier list, we're going to attempt to go through every Pokemon that's currently available for the series. And by that, we mean there's going to be a lot that we're just going to be like, yeah, this sucks. Don't play it.
Yeah, the list of things that are viable gets a little bit swapped around with the ruinous Pokemon and all that because there's like fighting types that might become viable. Fairy types get a little bit better, whereas fairy types have been a problem in the past. Stuff like that. But so yeah, I'm just wanting to get started here because we have a lot of Pokemon to go through. Overall, I think there's probably easily over 100 Pokemon on my list still down here.
Yeah, so let's just start from the beginning and work our way through. Raichu, I think, is pretty bad. Just starting here at the top.
I think Raichu has a home. It's
somewhere
just not available right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. I have a feeling that's going to be like a returning thought every time we see like an electric Pokemon. Just in general, it feels like like electric is just not a very good like offensive typing right now. Yeah. And I mean that just is how it is,
Like the electric type that is good is specifically Iron Hands, and it's good because it has like a high attack stat. It's not even bulk; it just has a very high attack stat, so you don't have to invest in attack to actually like deal significant damage, right? Whereas poor Raichu, like your max speed, max special attack, usually fairly frail. There were assault vest sets back in the Sword and Shield days, but back then being an electric type actually was important, and now it's not as good.
All right, just kind of busting through some. Wigglytuff sucks.
Venomoth sucks.
Yep, sucks.
Dugtrio,
Persian gets fake out. That's about the best we can say.
Yeah.
Primeape is worse than Nihilape. Arcanine's really, really good.
Arcanine, I would is like the example of a strong, consistent Pokemon. It's got Intimidate, it's got Snarl, it's got multiple like ways of damage mitigation and power. Not to mention it's like extreme speed pairs well with Chien-Pao, which is what everybody's doing with it right now.
I think you could probably make an argument for like must-have / answer, but like not every team's gonna have it, right? But like you also need to be aware that like Arcanine is going to be good, it's going to be powerful, and like as a result, you're going to either need to be able to play appropriately and like pivot around it, or have strong special attackers that don't care about it, such like Fluttermane. Just like things that are able to beat it up consistently. And with safety goggles running around, you can't like Rage Powder and or Spore it. So like a Mungus isn't a very good answer. Ignore the fact that like you're weak to it. So there's just a lot of things that like Arcanine is really good at. In a format that most likely is going to be the best Intimidator, at least for the foreseeable future. Like, yeah, it's good.
Slowbro kind of just doesn't do anything.
I want Slowbro to be good, but it's unfortunately not. Same with Muck.
Poor Cloyster.
Cloyster is like, man, it's so close. It needs just like 20 more points in like just
a stat.
Something. Probably HP. Like if it just had like 20 more HP, it'd be good.
Like give it a little bit of extra HP in any stat that matters.
Or speed. Like HP or speed.
Yeah.
But give it a regional form. Do something with Cloyster, man. It's so cool, and it's just been so bad forever.
Yep.
Gengar,
I would consider more niche anymore.
I would agree.
Like back in the day, Gengar was like, oh, it's so great, it's so fast, and it does so many things. We have so many other Pokemon that now do a lot of what Gengar used to do, that Gengar's like specific thing is I'm fast Icy Wind, or I'm a fast Poison type. And now we even have that in like a Glimmora where it's strong special attacking Poison type. So overall, Gengar's stock is way down.
That doesn't mean it's not playable. It's just, like there's a reason it has a niche. Like it can do some things that are very cool, but it definitely needs to be built around in a way to make it viable.
I want to preface this now. There are a lot of ghost types that are very, very good right now. Being a ghost type is very, very important right now. Unfortunately for Gengar, there are better ghosts than Gengar.
Uh-huh.
And when you're probably the 6th or 7th best ghost in the entire game, it's just not feasible to play with it when you can play with Dragapult, Fluttermane, and other more powerful ghost types.
Hypno sucks.
Yep, Hypno can get out of here.
Electrode sucks.
That's
regular Tauros.
And then
regular
Blaze
Tauros
Breed.
is pretty bad. Blaze I would put in niche.
Yeah, and then I think Aqua's good.
Man, those two are really close, and being able to be immune to burn is really good.
Aqua has
but also like pressuring
weaknesses.
opposing. Yeah, being able to pressure opposing Arcanine, I think, is also really good, and being able to resist Chien Pao. Man,
they're both good in their own rights.
Yeah,
I think Aqua gets the edge because there are less weaknesses for water to deal with.
I agree.
Fire and fighting don't add a lot together, as we've seen with like all the fire and fighting starters we've had over the years. Whereas like water fighting is usually a decent typing. It's just the Pokemon that we have that are water fighting weren't always that great outside of specific like Rapid Strike Urshifu. So having a strong like water fighting type in the form of Aqua Breed is actually decent. I think water types in general are getting better into Regulation C because there's things like Ting Lu and Chi-Yu. Both get answered very easily by a water type, which forces them to Terra, which means that you're at least advantaged in the whole situation. So having that strong water present on your team that also just happens to be a fighting type and hits all the dark type ruinous Pokemon anyway, it's a win-win scenario there.
Alright, I think I'm going to make the argument that Arcanine needs to go up and Gyarados should be in strong.
I wouldn't call Gyarados strong yet. Gyarados is a benefit of the current situation of the meta.
So, like, my thought process here is, like, Arcanine is by far the best Intimidator. I would put Gyarados second, and I'd put Water Tauros probably third. And I think, like, Water Tauros is definitely a tier below Gyarados. Like,
so
that's my thought process here. I think so.
I see, I'm in the camp that Arcanine actually is getting worse in Regulation C. Just because there are things that it is getting kind of outclassed in doing, like the E-Speed Dragonite and the Dragapult with Chien Pao parry.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to try and use Arcanine to do that and still be Intimidate, and then it's just going to get outpaced by things like Gyarados and the Aqua Breed Tauros, specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's...
Like, I think they're at least on par with each other for Gyarados and Arcanine.
Okay.
At minimum. I
think I can agree to that. I think I can agree to that.
Not, like you said, not every team's going to have an Arcanine, but most teams will have an answer to Arcanine. And Gyarados is kind of getting to that same point where it's a strong and consistent player on a lot of teams, but what the big thing that Gyarados is doing is it's benefiting from the fact that Ting Lu is just so popular. And with Palafin, you resist all the things that Palafin's going to do. You don't have to worry about getting O-code by Fissure. Gyarados is more a benefit of where the current like popular team is at, more than just like this is a good Pokemon overall in the format. The minute any electric type starts to show its face, the minute Iron Hands becomes popular again, Gyarados is out of there, right?
Yep.
But overall, Gyarados right now in Regulation C with the way the format is going, if Ting Lu stays popular, if Wo-Chien stays popular, Gyarados is going to be probably one of the best Intimidators that you can get right now just because of its matchup into Ting Lu and Wo-Chien and Chi-Yu, respectively.
I think all the evolutions here suck.
Yep, none of these are worth playing. You gotta have a Dragonite answer.
Yep, 100%.
This is the format we're getting into. Dragonite has steadily been creeping up in usage every series, and now that it's got its best friend in Chien Pao, it's a must plan around Pokemon. Uh, this thing hits like a truck with E-Speed, Terra normal. I've seen people sticking into their guns with Terra flying and have Terra Blast just to Oko Fluttermane. Like, it's a problem. It's really good.
Yeah, Dragonite is very, very good, and is going to continue to be very good for probably the foreseeable future.
I would be surprised unless
you mentioned,
something big drastic changes.
Just the combination of like Chi and Pal Dragonite is very, very powerful. Dragonite is a Pokemon that definitely started to pick up in popularity in Series 2, and I think it's just going to continue to grow the more powerful the formats get.
Yep.
Like it Dragonite just really benefits from having really powerful teammates to draw pressure away from it so it can be able to do its thing as well.
Yeah. Ampharos continues the trend of terrible electric types, unfortunately.
I want it to be good, but it sucks.
Yep.
Azumarill I think is actually good.
Yeah, Azumarill, I think right now, for the way where we're at, I think setting it good is a good spot for it. As teams get bulkier and stall might become more prevalent, you will start to see Perish on Azumarill and Fluttermane to kind of beat these stall teams. I expect at that point Azumarill's stock to go up even more, get into kind of that strong and consistent category. But for right now, we're just going to leave it at good. Fairy typing is still fine. It's not as much a liability as it was previously. Terra Steel has definitely gone down in value now that people have been kind of adapted to playing around that and playing coverage moves for it. So we're starting to see new Terra types kind of be popular. And so that's good for things like Azumarill and other fairy types that we're hoping to kind of start to see more play now that we have all these dark types running around.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Big agree. Sudowoodo sucks. Jumpluff, I think, has a niche.
Yeah, Jumpluff it's grass
Tailwind,
flying, right?
Rage Powder, Sleep Powder.
Yeah, it's literally just like, here's all the flying and grass stuff that's really good.
It's Butterfree.
Yeah, but grass flying instead of bug flying.
Yep. Still terrible typing, but you know.
That's the
faster than
thing, right?
Butterfree as well.
Plus,
like, that's the other big thing.
Day-2'd, right? It just day-2'd an event, so it's not.
I actually
terrible.
didn't. Yeah. I knew that. That was in Series 2, though, wasn't it?
No, it was just at Fort Wayne.
Was it?
Yep.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Get out of here, Sunflora.
Sunflora, it's obviously terrible. Espeon's pretty bad. Umbreon, I think, is going to start ticking up, as we've seen in previous years. As the format becomes more powerful, bulk becomes more important, and that's where Umbreon really starts to shine. I think putting it in niche is fine for now. I could see this being like an actual format player by the end of Series 3, though.
Yeah, especially counting into things like Terra with your Umbreon. It can become so hard to deal with if your opponent just like loses their normal Umbreon Terra answer, and then you just set up in front of them and they can't really touch you.
Murkrow it's pretty niche at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely
not bad, but man, it is not Series 1.
How the mighty have fallen.
Slowking.
I want it to be good. Slowking.
I want it and Slowbro to be good, but man, this just isn't singles.
It's just not the format for it yet. We don't have any scary steel types, like hard steel types running around, right?
As you're holding up Fortress.
Yeah, Fortress. Poor Quillfish.
Scizor, I think, is pretty niche as well.
I would almost put it into good, just because it's starting to trend upwards.
I think it, much like Umbreon, is something that benefits from a bulkier format. Being able to really just punch things for pretty absurd amounts of damage is really good, especially when you're able to tear away from your bad typing and be able to, you know, become like mono steel and then getting rid of all these like bug weaknesses and stuff like that. I think could really benefit Scizor. I could see it being up and good. I think it's better than Murkrow. I think it's better than...
I don't know if it's better than the Fire Tauros, and that's kind of where like my benchmark is Fire Tauros is probably the top of niche. My big thing is this is like all...
That might be one we come back and like talk about at the end and readjust.
my argument for Scizor probably being into good is bug type moves are actually decent.
They're not bad.
Bug type coverage right now is actually good. The problem is just the fact that you're a bug type.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of what Scizor's going to do is it's going to be almost a must Terra Pokemon 90 probably % of the time you're going to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means it's a little bit scary to put on your team, so it's a little more niche. But like having access to close combat's great. It means you hit all of the dark type ruinous Pokemon before they Terra. It puts a lot of pressure on things like Chin Pao with Bullet Punch. And it doesn't really care about Sucker Punch coming at it most of the time. So I think overall Scizor will probably again be one of those Pokemon that might creep up a little bit farther the more and farther along we get into this format. But for right now, niche is a perfectly fine spot for it.
Aircross sucks.
Yeah.
Earthring sucks.
Oh, who did I grab? I grabbed somebody. Did I not? Did it jump back? Okay.
I think you just grabbed Tauros, maybe?
I grabbed somebody.
I don't know.
Houndoom sucks. Donphan
Donphan's pretty bad. Stantler's pretty bad.
Blissey doesn't have Shuckle. T-Tar.
T-Tar's pretty good.
I don't know if I want to put it in the strong, consistent category or if I want to leave it in the good. It's got...
Well, it had no results from...
There were a couple on day 2.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, there were a couple on day 2, but not to the category that it was doing, like, Series 1 and 2, right? Like, that was the big things, is just, like, it's weaker now that everybody's preparing for dark types a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole T-Tar going ghost type gimmick doesn't work because there's a Fluttermane sitting across from you half the time.
Yeah.
Like, you lose your special defense buff from the sand, so that you don't take the Shadow Ball usually very well without being, like, Assault Vest and heavily invested. So I think just good is fine for right now for T-Tar. We'll see how the format kind of develops. If things like fighting and fairy and steel get more popular, T-Tar definitely is going to fall a lot more. In my opinion, but good is a good spot right now.
Pelipper is pretty niche at this point, I think. It's still the best rain setter, but like weather's not important.
Specifically rain just isn't as important of an effect anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just went away all of a sudden. Maybe it's...
okay, so, like, Palafin Rain is still good, right? But, like, Palafin's the reason that Palafin Rain is good.
Yeah.
You don't need rain to make Palafin that much better. So it's just, like, does it really benefit you from having it and, like, being able to have this Pokemon that can set Tailwind or set a Wide Guard or something, and, like, is that really relevant? The fact that, like, you don't have Scald on Pelipper anymore is just such a huge downgrade for it.
You said something about Wide Guard and Tailwind. I think that's part of it, actually, is Tailwind is not as important in this format as it was in previous.
It's not relevant right now. And that's why, like, Murkrow is down here in this niche tier, and why Jumpluff is down here. Like, sure, yes, speed is important, but, like, so is bulk.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you can outspeed things, that's fine, but, like, if you're not OHKOing, and, like, if you're being OHKO'd back, it just doesn't matter.
Correct. Yeah.
I think Gardevoir's pretty niche.
Gardevoir is interesting as a Pokemon. It's... The Psychic and Fairy typing means, like, naturally you're going to be weak to a lot of the big special attackers and things like Fluttermane.
Mm-hmm.
You're not weak to all the dark types, but they are kind of scary. Just being able to hit you pretty hard for neutral damage because you're not the bulkiest thing in the world. But being able to tear away, maybe becoming like a pure fairy type, you might see some more play. Being able to just do really high damage Dazzling Gleams into these multiple ruinous Pokemon, would have to see. But Masquerain.
Bad.
I want it to be good. It's so cool. Just like, here's this intimidating bug, and it's water type, and it's got like all these cool niche moves. It's a great draft league Pokemon. Terrible VGC Pokemon, unfortunately.
Yep, and that's just how it is, friend.
Breloom.
That's just how it is.
I think this
Pretty
thing,
niche.
I think this thing can be good if people figure out how to play it.
I agree. It's really close.
So the big things that this thing gets to do is we have priority Mach Punch, and with Technician, just kind of like what Sizer's doing with Bullet Punch, in this priority driven format. The problem is we're just a little bit slower than a lot of the other Pokemon, and we don't have access to like extreme speed.
Yep.
But the big thing is we resist all the dark moves that will be coming out and about. Since we are a fighting type, that's kind of cool. It's just we kind of struggle into things like Fluttermane, and that's like the number one played. Fluttermane is currently our Incineroar in this format. That's the best way to put it. If you are bad into Fluttermane, you probably aren't getting played.
Yep, and that's just unfortunate.
But I think there's a lot of things that Breloom can do. It's probably better Brute Bonnet now, honestly. It might just be.
Yeah.
It might be better Brute Bonnet now. Do the loaded dice bullet seed thing.
Yeah. I can see that.
Slacking. As much everybody wants to do the Grafaiai thing, and it's just not good enough.
Yeah.
Not in this format. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Poor Hariyama, kind of in that same vein, was really had high potential, and the format has kind of just changed around it so quickly that it hasn't had a chance to like get into a position of being actually decent.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Like there's better fake out mons, there's better bulky fighting types. It's just not good enough anymore. And
that's just how it is, unfortunately.
With all of the 570s and 550s running around, like Hariyama's lower than average base stats is kind of off-putting.
Yep.
Sableye, man, I don't know what it is about Prankster. They've made Prankster kind of just useless, right? I don't know what it is that why priority damage moves are so good, but Prankster status moves aren't. Now, granted, in this format, there's a lot more dark types running around, right? Everybody's got at least one dark type because of Ruinous Pokemon most of the time. But even before that, Sableye just wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
We were so worried about Grimmsnarl being this monster with Parting Shot. Not even a problem.
Not even, like, good.
Like, it's not
That's
a problem.
the problem.
I still think Sableye's got a little bit of exploration to do. There's some things that Sableye does that a lot of these other support Pokemon don't do, and we'll have to kind of play around with it and maybe see what's going on in the future. But for right now, I kind of just want to leave it in niche and maybe approach it later.
Yep.
Where are we at? Medicham.
I want Medicham to be good, but it needs a lot to make it good, unfortunately.
Yeah, same with kind of like Swalot and Camerupt. I'm gonna grab Grumpig and Cacturn while we're over here.
And Altaria, and
Seviper, and Whiscash.
And Whiscash, and Bayonet, and Tropius, and Glalie.
There we go.
Alright, cool. We have Pokemon we can talk about.
Torkoal!
It's fine.
Sits as good.
It's better than Pelipper, but like
that's
sure.
Because there's the core of like Fluttermane, Great Tusk, Torkoal, kind of just being like, I can answer the steel types, that would be a problem for you, and Great Tusk answers the fire types, that would be a problem for you, and it's part of that whole little trio core there, and you get to play Lilligant, and overall it's a good Pokemon. Having access to Helping Hand is huge. Means you're not just like relegated to being a Trick Room Pokemon anymore. But it's funny that it's just like all of Series 2 we didn't see really any Sun, and now that we got into Regulation C with Ruinous Pokemon, it's like Torkoal's good again. Play Torkoal. Don't play Pelipper. Play Torkoal. And it's just weird. Salamence. Man. Like, you want to talk about dragons that are getting the short end of the stick? Salamence is literally the same typing as Dragonite, same base stat total. Arguably could be better, but it's just not getting the same amount of love as Dragonite's getting because Dragonite has extreme speed and Salamence doesn't.
Yeah, I mean that's
pretty much it, right? Like you're a good intimidator.
Okay,
that's about it. Notably, you do avoid a lot of the like fissure shenanigans that Tinglu's doing. So we might see Salamence tick up as Pokemon kind of shift around if it hits somehow it answers something a little bit better. But we'll see. Talk about Intimidate, Staraptor. I don't think I would play this as Intimidate, so it's probably not very good.
Correct.
Cricketune, nobody likes you.
Yeah,
Luxray, nobody likes you. Vespiquen, nobody likes you. Pachirisu, get out of here. Floatzel, no. The Mighty Gastrodon. This is a Pokemon I thought would be better overall.
It's still not good though.
But it's just like fine.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think that the Pokemon being able to be just like, I am this really hard to kill Pokemon, so you have to kind of bring an answer for me. Oh, I changed what the answer is, and now you can't deal with me. That's just not how the format's playing out. It's just not how the format's working. That might change going into it. Ground is still a very good typing. Storm Drain's a really decent ability. We might see it on, like, with things like Chi-Yu and other fire types that might become prevalent, but outside of it being a Dozo answer for that one event, it's kind of not really been doing a whole lot.
It really depends on if people adapt to needing to play more water types, right? Like, if you're wanting to play water types to be able to deal with Tinglu and to be able to like have a resistance for Chien-Pao, like Gastrodon then makes sense, right? Like then you're answering these water types that are becoming popular. But that's not where we're at right now. So like I think this has potential to move up, but like right now it's not particularly good.
Yeah.
It fits a very specific role.
Mismagius, Skuntank, Honchkrow can all get out of here. Drifloon,
I think you can put Spiritomb down in yep.
Drifloom's not that great. Spiritomb's not that great. Hippowdon's not that great. Toxicroak's not that great. Lumineon. Leafeon.
The evolutions.
Frostlass. Rotom Ice. Flying. Grass. Basculins. I'm just kind of getting rid of some of this draft chaff real fast. We got rid of most of it. Okay.
Yeah, we got a bunch to talk about here. I think Bronzong is man.
Bronzong gets worse the more dark types there are.
And they just introduced 4 really good dark types, and there's a really good ghost type. And like I want it to be good. Unfortunately, I just don't think it is.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it has a lot of things working for it. It really does. But this format is just lined up to just beat it up, it feels like.
Yeah. There's not enough going for Bronzong to be good. We saw it a ton in Sword and Shield, but that's because there was a giant steel type running around that couldn't hit it super effectively.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like the fact that we have 4 very powerful dark types that were just added, like it makes your psychic types really bad. I think it needs to go into needs help.
Yeah.
I really do.
Garchomp.
Garchomp's strong. I think there's an argument to make. Yeah, I do. I think it's on the same page as Arcanine and Gyarados.
I don't know. So Garchomp struggles in terms of like dealing with anything that resists its normal damage because you're only running rock and ground coverage most of the time.
Yeah, like, are you gonna run Dragon Claw in a format dominated by Fluttermane?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Like, you run Earthquake and Rock Slide, so you're very reliant on making sure that, like, you can hit both targets on the other side of the field successfully, consistently a lot of the time. And I think Garchomp doesn't quite meet that qualification of, like, strong, consistent. It's a good attacker, but it just isn't, like... It isn't almost as consistent as saying having an Intimidate Mon or some of these other Pokemon we get here. We'll have more good Pokemon as we get into like the Gen 9 stuff because that's where a lot of the good Pokemon.
Yeah, the good Pokemon are good.
Yeah, they're all like hiding down here somewhere.
Why is there a random Spectrier?
Because the rest of them were hiding up here.
Ah!
So I wanted to move it so I can grab a hold of it later.
Got it.
I don't know. Garchomp, it's not like you're outpacing the format anymore.
Yeah.
That's what Garchomp was good at, like, in the... Before we got
Fluttermane stuff. You're selling me on it.
It's like...
I think it's...
Good. It's just not...
Yeah.
It's good, not great. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. I think Lucario is pretty niche. Like,
I would almost put it in needs help. I haven't seen a Lucario do anything.
Alright, you talked me into it. Like, I wanted to be good, but it's not.
Like, I haven't seen Lucario do anything productive.
Abomasnow, I think, actually does have a niche.
Yeah,
though.
Abomasnow can hang out here. Like, it's fine.
It's definitely better than, like, Gastrodon, but, like, not by much.
I would say that these two are probably fine together, and these two are good together. Like,
I would agree with that.
Like, if you're
and then there's
Withers,
Hippo.
And then there's Hippo. No one cares about Hippo, because Hippo doesn't get buffed by the sand. Not without terastallizing. But, like, Abomasnow being able to change its type and still be, like, a weather setter is very, very good. Like, everyone...
And the fact that, like, you can Terra away from your god-awful typing and not take, like, residual chip from Hail anymore is really awesome.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Like, I'm surprised we're not seeing more people play things like Abomasnow and other, like, ice types to take advantage of the fact that you can terastallize away from that and still, like, hit like a truck. Abomasnow overall, like, it's still, like, everybody complains that, its bulk is terrible. Its bulk is actually fine. It's just the fact that you have a million weaknesses. It just feels like your bulk is terrible.
Yeah. I think Weavile's pretty bad.
Yeah, this thing's garbage.
I think Magnezone's pretty bad.
Of the potential, like, steel types to move up, this is probably the one that can move up into niche, but for right now, it's just not good enough in the format. Glade, it's kind of fallen out of favor.
I really like it, but...
Like you said about Pelipper, Wide Guard isn't as necessary anymore, because a lot of people have kind of adapted to that. Glade's big thing was just like, I can do Will-O-Wisp, and I can do Wide Guard, and I can do Trick Room. And of those things, Will-O-Wisp is answered by Arcanine, and you don't need Wide Guard, and you have other Trick Room things you can do, right?
Yep.
So it's just not as good. Sharpness is still really cool though. This thing still hits like a truck. So we're gonna play it probably. Just deal damage.
No disagreement there.
Slap a scope lens on it and focus energy or something, and just blow people up.
Or even just a focus sash, man. Just like make it where it can do something once.
Yeah. Rodon forms. We got Heat and Wash. What do you think on Heat?
I think fire types are really bad.
What about fire types that are immune to ground? They can't be hit by fissure.
That's better.
I'm about to say.
And like we've kind of talked about, like, there's like, again, if people start playing water types again, these like powerful electric Pokemon are going to be better, and I do think these are clearly like the best two Rotoms, right?
Yeah, like the rest of them are no argument there.
But
no, there is an argument for Rodon Mo.
There is.
I lied. Rodon Mo is probably fine.
Man, I think Wash is actually going to be good.
It can
but
be.
again, like, based on what we saw at Fort Wayne, Rotom doesn't look all that appealing. And then there's the argument of, oh, it's immune to Fissure, it has to be good, right? Like, it's a Pokemon that's immune to Fissure that can hit Ting-Lu for super effective damage. But, like, you still probably take a tongue from Chien Pao. You're not threatening Dragonite, really. You, like, sure, you can threaten Dozo if that starts to get popular again, but, I mean, not really. You're outsped by Fluttermane. Again, you can pressure Bundle, but, like, you're also weak to Bundle because they have
fast
Freeze Dry.
They have fast Freeze Dry, yeah.
You line up good against, like, the Intimidators of the format, but, like, is that really worth it? Is like hitting a Hydro Pump worth it?
It might be. We aren't at that point yet. It's like we've only had 1 week of actual like official Regulation C play. It might change to where things like Rotom Wash and Rotom Mow might actually be like decent options. I think Rotom Heat's not going to be ever any good because I
think there's just better fire types.
Like the one you want to hit, you can just hit with like Arcanine. But the reason I brought Mow back up, Mow technically is decent into Ting-Lu's too, because even if they like
you get Leaf Storm,
you still get to hit them for super effective damage, even though it is reduced, it's still hitting them.
I really want to explore like Chi-Yu plus Rotom Wash. Like, being able to reduce their special defense so you're able to do more damage, meaning you can invest into more bulk and still hit those break points, seems really appealing.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like something that could really have merit to it. So, like, just throwing out ideas, that could be something that people should work on.
Agreed. Lilligant, as much as
it's Torkoal's like best friend, right?
Yeah, like these two just go together. I even talked about it in the deep dive last week that it's like these two are together. If you're going to play one, you should play the other most of the time, or you can just play Torkoal separate. I don't think Lilligant is good enough on its own though to make it into this category.
I agree.
Like Lilligant does really cool things, but it has to be because Torkoal's there.
Torkoal does things without Lilligant. Lilligant doesn't do anything without Torkoal.
Right.
I think it's like the simplest way to put it.
Yep. Crocodile. I don't think it's good enough to do anything with.
Yep.
Zoroark, no one's playing this thing. I'm gonna get Saw's book out of here.
Can we have the other Zoroark instead?
I wish. I'm just kind of grabbing. Gothitelle. I would put this Pokemon as a strong and consistent Pokemon. Like, it's proven time and time again through multiple events that even though it is Psychic type and weak to Dark, you're bulky enough that you don't really care about most of what they are doing. Outside of, I think, specifically Chi-Yu probably. Chi-Yu's probably a little bit scary. But
Chien Pao, I bet, smacks it around too.
Usually these things are max defense, so it's not like that big a deal.
That's true. That is true.
But like Chi-Yu, like you're not investing a ton into your high special defense because you want max defense most of the time, and so like the fact that your one uninvested stat is getting reduced is gonna kind of hurt. But you also aren't usually having to worry about Sucker Punch into your Gothitelle because you're not attacking with your Gothitelle, right?
Yep.
That's the trick. That's the kicker. There is Sucker Punch is like the primary dark move on Chien Pao. Gothitelle does not care. Gothitelle's not there to deal damage. Gothitelle's there to lock you in and make you answer this Pokemon while its partner takes you out. Whether that's its own Dragonite, one of the other ruins, whatever. Palafin, anything of that nature. It's designed, its job is to keep you locked in so you can't run away.
Shadow Tag's really powerful.
Yeah, Shadow Tag is so good.
It takes a relatively okay Pokemon and just makes it just so good.
Yep.
What is it has Fake Out and that's
out?
like it. It's just like Fake Out Shadow Tag and Maybe hit a hypnosis.
Fake out, hypnosis, trick room, helping hand. You got so many useful like tools at your disposal for Gothitelle to use that there's no like reason to not run it. I would be surprised if I don't see more like hypnosis, fake out Gothitelles running around. Oh, you also get Thunderwave.
Mm-hmm.
Just fun fact. Don't want to run Trick Room? Just play Thunderwave. Works like 75% of the time.
I think Amoonguss is a must answer.
You think so?
I do. I think it is a format staple.
Now that Brute Bonnet is getting kind of bodied because everyone's packing for dark types, Amoonguss's stock goes up a lot more.
And Amoonguss just like wins the mirror because you carry Pollen Puff.
Yeah. You just don't really care, right? It's just like, oh, I'm just gonna hit all these dark types because I have Pollen Puff and I can do that.
Yep.
Like, who knew that Amoonguss would naturally be the answer to a lot of these crazy dark types running around? Haxorus, you're not very good. Braviary, you're not very good.
No.
Hydreigon's fallen off a lot. I still think it's in the good category and no longer, like, really good category.
I think it being a ground immunity plays, like, a lot towards its strengths. The downside is, like... There's this certain like ice type that's really fast that can pressure you, and then there's this other like fairy type that's really fast that can pressure you.
Well, that's what Terra Fire's for, right?
And then there's this water type that's also an ice type.
But like thinking about it in the terms of Ruinous Pokemon trying to like be fine to those, you resist all the dark type moves, you resist all the fire and the grass moves from Mochien and Chiyu. You have to worry about specifically Chien-Pao hitting you with, like, Ice Shard or Ice Spinner, which is fine. Like, you can always Terrasilize it. That's, like, you have Terra Fire for that reason, right? That's the reason you play that Pokemon. You play that Terra. And being immune to, like, the Fissure thing's really, really good. So, like, none of the Ruinous Pokemon really have a consistent way to hit you super effectively, especially with the Terra. And... you can kind of just bully them around because you do have really good coverage on Hydreigon. You have your Draco Meteor. You have tons of other coverage moves at your disposal, like besides just dark type moves. And this would probably be one of the only Pokemon that still runs Tailwind and actually like uses it effectively. I think next to maybe outside of like Talonflame. Talonflame's the other one probably. But there's a lot to like about Hydreigon.
Not disagreeing.
I think it used to be really, really good, and now it's just not as good.
Which is really unfortunate, but you know.
Volcarona. This is another one of these. Probably it's just good Pokemon. Like you'll see it.
Yeah.
It having Tailwind is another big boon for it, but it's probably not going to play it most of the time anymore. It's definitely looking to be that Fire type redirector, maybe get a lucky burn on Dragonite, maybe get a lucky burn on whatever. It's fine. There's nothing crazy to say about Dragonite, about Volcarona.
Yeah. It's good. Pyroar sucks.
Okay,
I think if we're gonna...
I have to put Pavilion in niche because it made dates.
I was gonna say, I think if Jumpluff is niche, Pavilion's is better Jumpluff.
Yeah, Pavilion is better Jumpluff. It's just, it's not gonna be enough to get it into good. It made a cut like Jumpluff, so it's enough to push it in there. Friend Guard's really good. Like, I can't, like, you have all of the stuff that Jumpluff does and Butterfree, but you have Friend Guard, so that kind of makes you better, but not enough to be good. This Pokemon's not very good. Your Galgi's just not good enough. In my opinion,
Florges.
In my opinion, Florges is not enough.
Dude, you say that, but it's cooking.
Florges is reliant on just going down to Iron Moth. Florges just happens to be the symbiosis spawn of choice most of the time. And what it's doing is I'm sacrificing myself for the greater good. And so it's not a good standalone Pokemon. It has very much all my friends are dead syndrome. You take everything out around it, it's not going to win the game for you most of the time.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because it is a fairy. It's a very strong fairy. It's just, it's not People aren't playing it to deal damage. People are playing it because it has symbiosis and it just happens to be weak to Sludge Wave. Go can get out of here. Dedenne can get out of here. Avalug, get down here.
It's so bad.
Get
Talonflame's okay.
Talonflame's
okay.
I would call Talonflame strong. I
would agree.
It's fast Will-O-Wisp. You can you do have to kind of worry about E-speed. I talked myself into putting in a good.
Okay.
Like, Dragonite is such a problem for it, and other priority moves, like, Chien Pao outspeeds you. So if you click Brave Bird to try and break a sash on something, it's going to just click Sucker Punch, and it's going to hit you.
Yeah.
And then you lose your priority, and then you're probably going next anyway. But you can't Terra Ghost anymore to avoid getting like Fake Out or E-Speed, because then you can just go down to Sucker Punch and you feel bad.
Yep.
It's still probably one of the better Tailwind setters in the game, and it has access to Will-O-Wisp. It's still strong. It's just not. You're not going to see it consistently anymore. There's other there's a fight for fire types now. Like Arcanine, Torkoal, Talonflame, Chi-Yu are all kind of fighting over the same spot. Like, I want to be your fire type. Klotzer can get out of here. Klefki.
It's pretty bad.
No, Klefki's actually probably the best Prankstermon we have. Being that steel type and being fairy means you resist a lot more hits.
Yeah. Okay. So what? We get T-Wave, we get screens.
You get speed control, you get both screens, and you have stab flash cannon. I think you also get spikes, if that's relevant to you.
You do. If stall is going to be a thing that exists, spikes is not bad.
I'm about to say prankster spikes.
Unironically, spikes Klefki might be okay. Oh my god, what is this game we play?
Hazards, man. We're going to start playing with hazards. Stealth Rock Landorus is making a comeback.
Dude, I've played Stealth Rock and spikes in draft leagues before. Like, it's not the dumbest thing.
We're gonna get Landorus back after Worlds. We're gonna get Landorus back in the format. We're gonna start playing Stealth Rocks Landorus. It's gonna be U-turn, Stealth Rocks, Intimidate Landorus.
Can we get Whirlwind Landorus?
Halucha, just not very good.
I want Mudsteel to be
horse
good.
just isn't enough. Noivern's not very good.
It's really bad.
Gudra's not very good. This Gudra's not very good. Hisuian Gudra is probably a different story, but we don't have Hisuian Gudra. Carbink, get out of here.
Sir, that's our guard splitter next to Blissey, so...
Where's Blissey? Here, I'll put it next to it for you.
Thank you.
Sylveon. Is it still good?
Okay, so... I want to say no. But... I love it, so that means yes.
So...
In reality, like, if you look at the top mons, it has pretty positive matchups into a bunch of them. The downside is, like, you're slow.
Yeah.
You need forms of speed control. Forms of speed control. Like, Tailwind's not enough.
Most of the time.
We haven't even got to, like, the format staples yet. So, like, I don't know. I want it to be good. I think it's pretty niche, though.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Toxapex.
Toxapex is...
It's hilarious. Someone brought this thing. I saw it on camera. I don't remember what event it was, but I saw it on camera, and it looked fine. It wasn't great, but it looked fine. Still needs a lot of help, though.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Salazzle. This thing was so cool when we saw it pop up in whatever event, and now it's just like, meh.
Agreed.
I'm not doing anything. What else do we have here? Oranguru. Not that great, unfortunately.
I want Kamala to be good. It's not.
It's just not. Serena. This is something I expect to be good.
I really like Serena. Queenly Majesty is bananas.
Especially that is the kicker, right? It's Queenly Majesty. When
there's so much priority running around, man. Like, you have, you have all these extreme speeders. You have all these sucker punchers. You have just so many mons that's just like, well, I guess I can't touch that now.
Yep, I have to think of something else. I have to do something else. I can't just click the extreme speed button anymore. This doesn't work. And
yep.
I think things like Serena and Farigiraf, these Pokemon that can stop priority moves, and DD female and DD male, all of those Pokemon that just like, no more priority moves. This format is done. I think those Pokemon are going to start to see a whole lot more play.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Passimian can get out of here. Mimikyu. This thing's actually been slowly creeping up, right?
It's fine.
I think it's like one of the third or fourth best ghosts in the format. You're immune to the extreme speed stuff, so you have a good pivot there. You hit all the Pokemon that are trying to hit, like the Ruinous Pokemon. You also hit all the Ruinous Pokemon for at least super effective damage in some shape or form. And you get to play like Curse Mimi with a weird Terra type, so you can set Curse, swap back in later, and then you could do like Terra normal or whatever, and just go to town setting up curses and getting bulky and hitting things.
Yeah,
there's a lot to like about Mimikyu in this format still.
I think it's getting better, like you said. I think it is a Pokemon that, like, when there's like a bunch of steel types running around, you want to avoid Mimikyu. When there's like a bunch of Mold Breaker running around, you want to avoid Mimikyu. But thankfully, Excadrill just doesn't exist, so it's okay. So
yeah,
man, I just
don't mind me.
I think it's going to be good. Oh yeah, you're doing your thing, so I'm just kind of filling time. There's a lot of really bad Pokemon here that we're getting busted through.
I think I just put like all of Alola.
Yeah. I think the only like Gen 7 Pokemon we talked about was Mimikyu.
Yes.
That's not true. We talked about Salazzle for a second.
Oh yeah, we talked about Salazzle for a hot second.
I think that's it though.
Yeah, I think that's all the Gen 2. Corviknight.
Dude, I really like Corviknight.
Is it good?
Next question.
Pass. I think Corviknight gets better the bulkier the format gets, because Corviknight's like main role is this bulky, hard to deal with Pokemon, right? Like, you get to set up iron defenses, you have Roost, you have like so many good tools at your disposal to be just annoying. And I think Corviknight can probably at minimum be like up in the upper niche.
Yeah. It is definitely at least a niche. It's right there on the border, man. Like, looking at the other Pokemon here at the top of niche, I think it's better than, but...
Is it, like, the question then becomes, like, is it better than Torkoal? Is it better than Volcarona? Is it better than Garchomp? Not really. Like, it does a job, and it does it well, but it does that only one job. It's just like,
so, like,
I have...
Counterpoint, it has more results so far than Hydreigon does. So, like, if we're going off what we currently know and what we currently expect, yeah? I don't know. It's up to you. Put it wherever.
Okay.
Alright, cool. You heard it here first, folks.
I stuck the Indeedis in here. Niche for the male, good for the female. The fact that the female has the whatever bug with Trick Room means that the male just immediately loses value overall.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's just
Um,
bad.
Berserker's not even legal. I don't know why you're over here. Get in the pile.
Out of here.
That being said, where are we at now? I have Pinchurchin. The little
It's
sea
bad.
urchin that could.
It's so bad.
Unfortunate. Frostmoth, not that great.
It's worse than Pincurchin.
Grimmsnarl. I know you played with this thing.
I really liked Grimmsnarl, man. I really did.
Is it worse or better with the format changes?
You get to Spirit Break a bunch of things still. And I think Spirit Break is really relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the extra bulk you get from screens is relevant.
Right? Like, that's the thing. That's the kicker is Grimmsnarl does the screen thing just like Klefki does. The problem is,
Man,
Grimmsnarl wants to interact a lot more than Klefki does. So
I agree.
you want to do things like Fake Out and Parting Shot and Thunderwave and things like that. And you can't safely do that. Whereas Klefki is more of the, I'm just setting screens. I'm just here to mitigate damage. Like, I have Thunderwave. If I can use it, cool. But my main job is I'm setting Light Screen, Reflect, etc. Good luck interacting with me.
The big problem with... Like, I mean, you could do, like, Grimmsnarl, like, screens fake out Grimmsnarl. Like, be able to break sashes, being able to, like, set screens. Because, like, you know, like we've talked about, there's some really good dark types in this format. And we haven't even talked about them yet.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
So, like, being able to, like, use Thunderwave is less consistent than it's been previously. Being able to use Parting Shot is less consistent than it's used to be. But, like, those are still relevant moves. So, like...
The big thing
I think if we're putting...
Go ahead.
I think if we're going to put Klefki that high, I feel required to put Grimmsnarl that high, too.
My big argument for Grimmsnarl is if you're wanting to do Fake Out, you want Parting Shot. You want that Incineroar level power of Pivot because you want to be able to Fake Out over and over. That means you now can't play a damaging move. Unless you drop one of your
down
screens.
screens, right?
Like that's the thing. Is then you're
like
locked into
you drop Reflect and play like Arcanine next to it, and so now you have Arcanine doing Intimidate Will-O-Wisp instead of setting Reflect, and then you have Grimmsnarl as like your special defense wall. I don't know.
But then, like I said, that's the trick. It's then you are taking away something that you were already like wanting to put Grimmsnarl in the same category for, and it now needs that extra help.
I just think it has so many tools.
It does.
And
it is the VGC player toolbox. It has literally everything you could ever want and more. The problem is you can't safely Parting Shot because opponents could just read it and call it and whatever. But because
Protect in front of you, a double into you,
swap out into a dark type, and now you're kind of just sitting there looking silly. Whatever.
Like now you've wasted a turn while they've got to progress their board state.
And that's why Klefki's become the premier setter. It's got better defenses because of the Steel Fairy typing. It's not looking to really interact on the same axis that Grimmsnarl is doing because it just wants to set screens. That's all it's wanting to do. Whereas the Grimmsnarl, it really wants to interact with you. Like that's why its moveset used to be Trick, Parting Shot, Thunderwave, right? Like that used to be what they were doing. And now they are like relegated to screen, Spirit Break, and maybe like a Sucker Punch. Like if that's the set you want to play, that you could probably get away with that, and that's probably what you can compare like Klefki to. But because you have Fake Out, you have Parting Shot, you want to do those things, it's hard to justify Grimmsnarl being into that good category doing that kind of job. Does that make sense?
I mean, you're not wrong. That's the thing.
You can get out of here. You can get out of here. You stay put. You can get out of here. You also stay put. You can get out of here. Okay, cool. Hatterene. This thing has become...
It's really not good.
You'd be surprised. This thing has become the better Trick Room Sweeper compared to Armarouge.
But, like,
Armarouge,
that's not really saying much.
No, so Armarouge was, like, the premier Trick Room Sweeper going into Series 2, and now that everything's a dark type, you, like, have to run away from it. Hatterene is fine into most dark types and carries strong fairy coverage into all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so... the fact that you're hard to, like, if you want Trick Room up, Trick Room's going up. Like, they can try to do something, but, like, Indeedie's usually sitting next to you, and so it's exactly, like, parting shot from something that's not Grimmsnarl into it to try and stop it. So I count Hatterene as a very good niche Pokemon. It's probably going to trend upwards as Trick Room teams start to get figured out more.
Yeah.
I would see, like, maybe slow, bulky Great Tusk with Torkoal next to it. Kind of maybe into that kind of... we kind of get into that kind of territory where it's just like, instead of playing the Focus Sash, blow you up kind of mode, we're going to start playing things like Earthquake and Ice Spinner and other more powerful, like, not the headlong rush into close combat, but we're going to play, like, our ground type moves and some other coverage moves, have Protect, or maybe just playing Assault Vest and things like that next to Hatterene. Stonejourner. Okay, so this Pokemon keeps popping up.
That doesn't mean I think it's good.
It's doing well. That's the problem. It's actually, like, popping up in Day 2s and such. More than some of these other Pokemon we've talked about. And I don't understand, like, why it's so good, or it's doing so well, outside of exactly Power Spot.
Mm-hmm.
You are just a standard, just neutral rock type. Like, there's no extra, like, accoutrement attached to your typing there. And that's actually a good thing for it, because Rock Ground has a ton of weaknesses, whereas Rock is just like, eh. I've got Steel,
whatever.
Grass, Water, Fighting. Like, I know what I need to avoid instead of having extra ground type weaknesses. Do I think it's, like, really good? No. But it's worth bringing up that it's probably on the same par as Salazzle if Salazzle's up here. Dragapult.
I think it's good. I think it's really strong.
Yeah. Like, Chien-Pao and Dragapult is a very scary combination. I think it's worse. I think it's scarier than Dragonite. Because... No, because it beats the Dragonite. Because Dragonite can't hit you unless it wants to get outsped.
Or go for Outrage.
If your Dragonite's playing Outrage, we have a problem.
Look, man, I'm trying really hard here. I didn't say it was good.
The fact that Dragon Darts is smart, like the way the aiming works is smart, means
it's
that
really dumb.
It's the best dragon move in the game, like, hands down. Not to mention, like, you can you outspeed Chien-Pao. So if they try to do something that's not exactly Sucker Punch, you kind of get to dodge them. Not to mention you have your own Chien-Pao most of the time. So a Phantom Force or anything like that, even like a resisted hit, will probably take the opposing Chien-Pao to at least its Sash. There's just a lot to like about Dragapult now that we're getting into the higher powered format. And speed is becoming more of a pinch point, but Tailwind's not as good.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dragapult's going to see a whole lot more play, and it'll probably usurp Dragonite eventually as, like, best physical attacker next to Chien-Pao.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it's super underexplored. But I think that, like, we're also still in the very early days of the format, so, like, give it time.
Don't mind me, I'm just grabbing stuff.
Let's see. As you're sorting, I I think I'm fair to say that Skeledirge isn't good anymore.
Yeah, when everything is a dark type, Skeledirge
or a ghost type that also outspeeds you.
Skeledirge just isn't as good.
Or a water type that punishes you.
I'm gonna put Quaquaval in there too. Meowscarada's still decent. Meowscarada's still fine. It's not a must-play Pokemon like it was before, but it's still good. Lokix can get out of here. Houndstone can get out of here. Espathra?
Espathra's not very good.
I don't know. Like, being a pure psychic type is kind of scary. Like we talk about Gothitelle being able to rock the psychic type in front of dark types, no problem. Espathra can't do that. it doesn't get to do that.
Yeah.
So you do have speed boost. You can outspeed stuff pretty quickly. It's just that your best move is Lumina Crash, and you can't hit anything with it. Anything that matters. For Rigorath, this is another one of these Pokemon that's just like, I'm going to stop all priority moves, and I can do Trick Room things. I think this ends up being probably one of the better setters in the game. Next to outside of Indeedee specifically, I think Rigorath becomes like the best setter in the game, hands down. Dozo. What do we think?
It's still really strong. I think just because it exists, you always have to respect it.
Is it a must answer all of the time?
I think so.
You think so?
I think it's a matter of time before it wins another
Which
event.
Tatsugiri form joins it then?
Doesn't matter. They're all good.
Well, that's not true. I can tell you that for a fact that is not true. They are not all the same. But overall, I'm going to say this here. I think Solo Donzo is is strong, consistent. I think it's fine. The Tatsugiri with the Dozo, you kind of need an answer for it.
Yeah.
I was gonna throw the Geary up here with the purple Geary up here with it because I think the order up days of Dozo are pretty much over. I think Dozo's better with Waterfall or Wave Crash, Earthquake, and then whatever support, whatever Protect or Yawn or whatever you want to run, and then maybe Body Press or something. We'll just throw these down here to hide them. Palafin, get up here.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd in every time you ever see it.
It wins so many events. Or heck, we're even getting an event Palafin at EUIC. Everyone will have a Palafin and a Cherish Ball that watches EUIC. Hopefully, if they remember to get it. Palafin is very, very good. It checks all the really good boxes that a Pokemon likes. It's got high base stats when you get to transform. It's got priority moves. It's got very good physical moves. And it's
so easy to do. It's so easy to transform.
Yep. Arbolivia's not that great. Pepper Guy's not that great. Bellybull's not that great. Mousehold.
Mouseape is going to be good. It's a matter of time before it wins an event, even in this new format.
I'm in the camp that it's not that great. I think Mouseape specifically the mouse part is fine. The ape part's not so great anymore. I think there's better ghost types you can do stuff with. Mimikyu, exactly Mimikyu, for example. The fact that it's just both of your typings are weak to what Fluttermane's doing, it puts you at a disadvantage. Yes, you are neutral to all the dark type moves, but then it's just how many hits are you going to take before you can actually get to a spot that it's fine, especially when the whole format is starting to try and stall you out. Normally Terra Fire was kind of the go-to for Annihilate. I don't think that's going to be safe to do anymore with how much Palafin and Gyarados will be running around.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like Ape.
I think he punches
it's a
really
cool hard
combo. It's a very niche combo. We don't have things like that a lot in VGC a lot of the time, where it's just Mouse, Ape, and it's like always a good pivot for each other. They kind of just like check each other's weaknesses really well, and work really well in tandem. But I think if it needed to win a format before we got the dark type, all the Ruinous Pokemon, and before like all the other DLC stuff comes along, because I think it'll kind of get pushed out of the format as we start to get things like Metagross and other very powerful high base stat Pokemon.
For sure.
So Titan, not very good. Baxcalibur, no. I love this.
Baxcalibur, I think, also needs, like, it's really strong.
I love this
It's Pokemon. Really, really good.
Baxcalibur was on my list of Pokemon that are trending upwards in Regulation C just because of what it can do. If I remember correctly, I think there's a calc where you can Oko a Tinglu with the right setup. I'm not sure. With like Icicle Spear and like Helping Hand or something.
I'm sure you're probably right.
Like there's a world where you can at least put Tinglu in I'm scared of you range with this Pokemon.
I think it's always in that range, to be fair.
I love Baxcalibur's design. Like, this is Godzilla and Tyranitar's not. But I think Baxcalibur has finally, like, come into its own, this format in particular. Palmot, you're just not very good. Kilowattrel, get out of here.
Yeah.
Bombardier, why are you here? Co-Star's not great. Garganical, okay.
Garg is great.
Garg is great. Garg is good. Gotta play Garg, or at least attempt it once. This is the reason stall is going to be a thing. You gotta kind of have a plan for stall teams in general now. And
yep.
Garg is really good at the whole stall thing.
It is absurd how good it is.
I'm going to move this list to the top. There we go. Because it was blocking my view and it was annoying. Now everyone can see what I'm talking about. Glamora. This is another really good Pokemon. It's funny that we're going to have so many hits in Gen 9. It's just like, Glamora, good Pokemon. Are you going to play it all the time? No. But
like when it slaps hard, man.
Oh yeah, it hits like a truck when it's going.
Darkspun sucks.
Darkspun's is not very good. Mabostiff, not that great. Bramblegast, get out of here. Goldango. I am in the camp that it is just good. It is not great anymore.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
It's fine. You can play it. There's better things to do. That's kind of the point I'm at right now. Like, I told people Goldango is going to fall off hard going to Regulation C because Make It Rain is going to be meh. People have figured out how to play around it, how to beat it. They know all the calcs for it. Not as good anymore.
Yep.
Steel Stab isn't as great. Great Tusk. I would call Great Tusk as like the strong, consistent type of Pokemon. This is what you would expect when you see like when you think consistent. You think like what's going to be there. It's going to deal damage all the time. It's going to hit pretty much everything. I don't have to worry about like what we're going to do. We're just going to click the damage button. That's Great Tusk does that.
Yep.
Brute Bonnet.
It's not very good anymore.
I think it's still niche because it's like offensive Amoonguss.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely just loses the Amoonguss Wo-Chien matchups anymore because they just carry Pollen Buff and you're sad. Sandy Shock's not that great anymore. So
Screamtail I think is still pretty niche.
Screamtail's interesting because again it's just like, does Perish become a thing? Does it start to see more play? It's decently bulky into all of like the damage dealers in the format, and you're fast. Maybe.
So I think it really depends on how good the like stall teams are. Like if that's a like relevant type that needs to be prepared for, like archetype that needs to be prepared for, then like Parasong just can really punish them.
Yeah.
Like, they're not able to put on any kind of pressure against you. You just trap them, and then you become the stall team, right?
Yeah, you just switch roles, and it's like, okay, now I get to do whatever I want, and you're kind of stuck here with me now. It all depends on kind of how the format shakes out. Fluttermane, get up here. There's nothing to say about Fluttermane that hasn't been said a dozen times over. This thing is the best Pokemon probably in the game.
It's so absurd.
You gotta have some kind of plan for it. You gotta know your calcs. You gotta know how to deal with it. It's easy as that.
It's so freaking good.
Slitherwing, you're not that great. Roaring
Moon,
Moon,
Fort.
probably just
I think
good.
it's fine.
I would call it just good. Roaring Moon is having an identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to do anymore. Like, everyone was like, oh, boost your energy, acrobatics, terra, flying, blow you up. That doesn't do anything.
Yep, big agree.
Like, oh, cool, you got to hit one thing. Well, guess what? Now I just took you out because you weren't paying attention. Iron Treads, you can get out of here. Iron Moth. I don't know.
I think it is better than some of the Pokemon we have, not only in this tier, but like definitely in the tier below. So like I think you have to put in at least niche.
It's interesting because Fire Poison is such a cool typing. It's strong-ish defensively. You kind of have to worry about ground, which is a very common coverage type, but overall it's fine. Like, most of the time, you're going to Terra this Pokemon. This is almost always a must-Terra Pokemon because its stats are really good. It's just, your typing's not that great in the face of a lot of what's popular. So, it's cool. Like, you Terra Grass or whatever, you do your Sludge Wave Symbiosis thing, get your Life Orb or whatever item you wanted to give you so you can blow things up. Cool. Is that a little too cute for Regulation C what's going on? Maybe it's a little too cute. I know Kamikaze posted his team and it was doing that kind of style of stuff. He went 5-4, which is great. Congrats to him. I'm not sure Iron Moth is like for everyone, but there's definitely like something there. People could probably figure out something to do with this Pokemon. It's just I think the Florges Iron Moth thing is just a little too cute. Iron Hands. Man.
I think it's really good.
What happened to Iron Hands? Where'd it go?
Well, see, what had happened was, I don't know, man. I think it's going to pick up eventually, right?
Like, you think it almost has to come back, right? It was so good in Series 2, and then Regulation C came along, and it's like it just jumped off the cliff. Like, it's just nowhere to be seen anymore. I mentioned in the deep dive, it's like, that's the big check to Gyarados. If Iron Hands comes back, Gyarados is gone. But until that happens, Gyarados is here to stay and play. Like, I don't know where Iron Hands went. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know why it's just like not seeing play. Maybe the suite of moves it has just isn't that great anymore. But like, you still have fighting type coverage. You hit all of the Ruinous Pokemon for super effective damage, right? Like,
yeah,
you don't really have anything to really worry about outside of Ting Lu Fissure. But like, eventually you'll just
Fluttermane, but
you're not hitting Fluttermane for super effective damage anyway. Like,
yeah, but Fluttermane's hitting you for super effective damage is the problem.
That was a problem. That didn't stop it in Series 2.
That is true. That is very, very true.
The only difference between Series 2 and Regulation C was the addition of the Ruinous Pokemon, and you'd think that the fighting type that is popular in the format would still see play or still be good going into the Pokemon format that is bringing 4 powerful Dark types in.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just a weird scenario.
But Jugulis sucks.
I think Jugulis is better than people are giving credit for. There was one in Day 2 at Fort Wayne. It's part of that Pokemon suite that's like, oh, you have Tailwind and you can do stuff, but Tailwind's not that great, so we don't really need you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thorn sucks.
Thorn sucks. Thorn can go away. Bundle. I don't think Bundle is a must-have, must-answer Pokemon anymore.
Yeah. I think it could change to that.
That could definitely change, but right now, I don't think Bundle is a must-answer Pokemon anymore. I think that people have gotten to the point where they have enough like natural like ways to just hit it that you don't have to worry about it just like completely demolishing your team like it did in Series 2. I think things like Chi-Yu and Qian-Pao being able to just like kind of bully it around a little bit is fine, and I think like Ting Lu ends up being like the best actual answer, even though it's weak to both of its stabs. The fact that Ting Lu comes in and says, your damage is now reduced. I don't know what you're going to do to me, but it's not hitting me very hard, because I can just kind of sit here and either fish for fissures, hit you with Ruination, because at best you're probably 3-hit KOing me.
Yeah. I think it's good. Like you said, good, not great.
Iron Valiant can kind of just go up there. It's not that great anymore. I'm kind of off it. We'll talk about these four in a minute. Tinkaton.
It's not good.
It's not good. Arbor Rouge has definitely fallen off.
Yeah.
I don't know about...
Ceruledge, I think, is pretty bad.
People are playing this Pokemon, and I don't think it's good. I think Arbor Rouge could be probably just in next to Hatterene, probably.
Yeah.
Toadscroll's not great. Clodsire is not that great. King Gambit. King Gambit is a solid, good Pokemon. I don't think it is consistent enough in this format full of dark types and fighting types and things like that to like warrant trying to like hit stuff all the time. But I do think like if your team needs that dark type coverage, this is a good Pokemon to do it with. If you're not playing one of these Pokemon already.
Mm-hmm.
Now the elephant in the room, or in this case, the moose. Tinglu, so freaking good. When I did the deep dives covering all these, I was like, oh, Tinglu's probably like the best Ruinous Pokemon just because of it's got the Vessel Rune, which lowers special attack. It's stupid bulky to begin with. You can just do whatever you want with this thing. You have Fissure, you have Ruination. There's just so many things that this Pokemon does.
It's really powerful.
You have to have an answer to this Pokemon, or it just kind of stalls your team out. Or it just hits 4 or 5 fissures in a match, and your opponent just loses. That's also an option.
I think along the same lines, I think Qian-Pao is also like a must-answer Pokemon. Yep. It plus Dragonite and or Dragapult and or Palafin, like it just punches things so freaking hard. Yep. It is a definition of a wall breaker. Like lower their defense, make everything you have just deal that much more damage is absolutely bonkers.
Yep. Chi-Yu, I think Chi-Yu is strong, consistent. It's not a kind of like must-play Pokemon. Like, you don't have to worry about always having an answer for it because you naturally usually do. That makes sense. Like, you're carrying an answer for any of these Pokemon up here. While Chi-Yu happens to be weak to fighting, happens to be weak to ground, which is a common coverage move, happens to be weak to water. There's a lot that Chi-Yu kind of struggles with, especially since it's just like this frail special attacker. So, it's also like, it also suffers more compared to the other, like these two, in terms of coverage moves, which I found hilarious. Like, your best coverage move outside of exactly Dark or Fire is like Hex or Psychic.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all you've got. You're doing more things with like Lava Plume next to like a Baxcalibur or something than you are anything else.
Yep.
Wo-Chien, in that same vein, again, it's probably just good. It depends on how the stall teams develop. I think Wo-Chien can be very problematic for teams if they're not prepared for it. But like on its face value, grass and dark isn't that great, and you have a lot of strong answers for grass and dark types.
Yep.
That being said, it just having that ability where it is just essentially an intimidate that's static is pretty good. And it'll probably rise or fall depending on how the stall teams are doing.
So is that it?
That was all of them.
Are we done?
Do you want to change anything? Do you want to see the list above us?
There's a lot of Pokemon that are really bad, man.
I mean, not all Pokemon are created equal.
Nah, power creep is definitely a thing that exists.
And then even some new Pokemon aren't that great.
Yeah.
And then we have all the fun Pokemon up here that I can't wait to have.
We didn't rank Pikachu? Come on, Carl.
Nah.
Oh well. So anyway, I think this is pretty good.
I'm
pretty satisfied with how this works. So
yeah, agreed. Okay.
Is that it?
I think we wrap it up. We're wrapping it up.
I'm gonna go watch Mario. So.
Oh, you're gonna go watch the new Mario movie?
Yeah, that's.
I can't talk Kayla into doing that yet. So.
So I was scrolling through TikTok and I got Jack Black screaming at me saying, "Hey, my movie's out. Go see it." I'm like, "What movie's he talking about?" And then the ad ends and it pops up Mario. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that was out."
Yeah, it came out yesterday as of recording because we're recording Thursday. But I was like, "Hey, do you want to go watch this?" Kayla's like, "Nah, I'm not really into it." And it's like, "All right, that's fine. I'll watch it eventually, probably."
Yeah, we're gonna go watch it tonight, so I'm super excited. So
no spoilers.
No, I'm not that much of a jerk.
You went all fuzzy.
Spoiler: it was a movie that involved Donkey Kong.
That is true. It does involve Donkey Kong.
But I think that's it.
Yep, that's all I got.
Let's get out of here. So, as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you're listening over here on YouTube. If you're listening on any of the audio platforms, make sure you leave us that 5-star review, ring the bell, notification stuff, get all that good stuff so you get, so you know when we have stuff going up.
Yep.
Past that, you can check us out on Twitter at LR Lessons, myself at Mr. Missouri 25, Carl's at Musical VGC. Carl and I are also both on Twitch, so you can follow us over there at Mr. Missouri 25 and at Musical. Past that, you can come hang out with us in our amazing community Discord. That link is always down in the show notes. I know we've had quite a few new people coming in here lately and actually being active in the community and everything, so that's really awesome. Best of luck to everyone playing in the Invitational this weekend. Unfortunately, 1, I'm not able to play, and 2, I didn't qualify even if I could.
I'm going to be running it from the car while we're traveling, so that'll be fun.
It'll be fine.
As long as I don't lose an internet connection, we'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be great. Let's see. You can always check out the website at lrlessons.com. While you're over there, you can go over and click the merch page if you want to support us that way. You always can.
Get it while you can.
Teespring story of the week. I got another shirt.
Hey! So that means next week we'll get the last one.
So here's the thing. That one's not even showing it started being printed yet.
Not surprised.
To be fair, this one was supposed to be shipped with that one. So...
Oh, goodness.
I don't know, man.
Oh, wow.
It shows that it's printed and mailed out and everything. Again, no email confirmation that it was sent to me, no nothing. I can't wait to change companies.
Yeah, that's going to happen soon. Just gotta settle on one.
If you want to support us but don't want to give a company that doesn't do what they say they're going to do money, you can always go ahead and hop over to patreon.com for as little as like 50 cents an episode. You can help us and get a shout out if you're in that $10 or up tier. Shout outs to Johnny Bravo Sr. and Papa Swish as always. So that is going to be it for this week, everyone. Thank you so much, and until next week, have a good one. Peace.